This midterm elections, which is happening almost 2 years after he was elected as president of US in a surprise victory, is definitely a sort of referendum for him. The way Trump has overturned, 70 years of post-World War II traditions and policies, there is this will sort of signal whether, he has support for those policies, economic policy, foreign policy, multilateralism, and particularly his alliances, U.S. alliances in the Europe, and in regarding his nationalist economic policies, which he thinks he has a support and his core constituency has a support, but has been resisted by the Silicon Valley and the US businesses in the eastern coast. So definitely this is going to chart out whether he's going to stay on course for the next 2 years or whether he's going to go back to the traditional US focus. But I think, given the nature of the man, he will continue his nationalist fervor. A strongest Trump, if in the Congress, if the Republicans have a majority, is good for India in certain ways, because then you have there is less acrimony on issues like relations with Russia. And therefore, if Trump can improve relations with Russia, that will help Indo-Russian relations, particularly in terms of acquisition of defense products and overall sanctions. It would also sort of be continuity in the Indo-Pacific arena, because Indo-Pacific has been a sustained focus of this US administration. Trump has shown a consistency in Indo-Pacific so far, despite his unpredictable nature, which augurs well for India, particularly to counterbalance China. It works vice versa. US has a partner in India, India has a partner in US to balance the geopolitics in Asia. It will be easier for Trump to push through his initiative on improving relations with Russia. This will allow the US to focus on Asia, where they are looking for a treaty to control the Chinese missile proliferation. The Trump team is very tough on Iran, and they may continue to take a tough posture. There are no signs of negotiations. Maybe we can see Trump entering into negotiations with Iran if he is stronger, and that might lead to a deal while in his first term in office. A Democratic controlled Congress will make it very difficult for Trump to pursue his nationalist economic agenda. While they would also favor trade deals with certain countries, but they may hold back Trump, particularly vis-a-vis China, because we are getting some signals that they might begin a trade deal with China on the sidelines of the G20 when President Trump meets Xi Jinping. What had happened in the course of the Bill Clinton administration and thereafter is that US had allowed a lot of concessions to China, and resulting in a trade imbalance. And democratically Congress controlled by Democrats may not allow the Trump that room to correct that imbalance. Historically, the trend has been that the Indian community has supported the Democrats because the Democrats were in favor of immigration, right? They had allowed the immigration. In fact, the Obama administration introduced something called the H-4 visas, which allowed the spouses of the Indians who are working, either a male spouse or the female spouse, to take up jobs there. However, in the last elections, there has been a section of the Indian community, and it's not a small section, which supported Trump. There was this Republican Hindu Congress, which was created by a noted Indian businessman called Salab Kumar, and he did fund the Trump campaign to an extent, and got support from among the Indian community. So it will be interesting to analyze after this elections, how much would the Indians have voted for Trump. See, the Indian Americans who are US passport holders, they may not be facing the threat, but generally the expat Indians who are on who are there on work visas, and whose permits are now being the permits or the visas are now are facing the threat of not being renewed. How that pans out on the Indian community, that remains to be seen. And I'm sure that there will be a section of the Indian community which will favor the Democrats in this election and not the Republicans.